a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
St. Lucia is located at Unit 4, Gablewoods Mall, Sunny Acres, Castries, St. Lucia. Tune in to us at 97.1 FM and online at revupslu.com. Call the studio at 572-9710 or WhatsApp 287-0971. Or Rev Up office numbers are 572-0383 and 572-0215. Rev Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
It's now time for Meet the Opposition, today hosted by Lenard Spider Montoute. Mr. Montoute, good morning and welcome back.
Good morning to you, Andre. Good morning to all your viewers and listeners. And, this morning, Andre, we have a special guest who will be with us for the duration of the program. And before I introduce the special guest, let me just say, this is someone who has replaced me, Andre. But more importantly, this is someone who will be replacing the current parliamentary representative of Gros Islet. And so we're pleased this morning to introduce to you our special guest, Mrs. Marcella Johnson, the United Workers' Party candidate for Gros Islet in the upcoming general election. Mrs. Johnson, welcome to Rev Up, to Rev Up, but also, more importantly, to Meet the Opposition. Say hello to my viewers and listeners.
Good morning to the viewers and listeners. I know there are persons out there, especially from the Gros Islet community, who are listening. I want to say a special good morning to you guys. I want to say thank you to you, Andre. I mean, we haven't seen each other for over 15 years.
That's right.
But I admire what you are doing with Rev Up, this station. This has created a platform where persons like myself and other persons within the community can voice their concerns, because without this station, there wouldn't be a platform to be able to say what's happening in St. Lucia, and this is commendable.
Thank you.
Also to Spider, what he's doing in terms of putting the issues out there in a way that persons can understand and letting St. Lucians know what is happening. So I have to say hats off to both of you. You continue to do the good work that you are doing.
Okay, so
thank you.
Andre,
yes.
I will focus a lot this morning on our guests. That's the reason why we have her here. And so, you don't mind me calling you Marcella?
Marcella is perfect.
All right.
That's who I am.
Okay. So, Marcella, you have taken the plunge into politics. The average person will say to you, this is a nasty arena, this is a dirty game. Why would you want to get involved in politics?
Very good question, Spider. Very good question. I just want to give a little background on myself. I grew up in the community of Touge, as you may know, very poor community. I grew up very poor. And growing up like that, I know what it means to work very hard, to strive to achieve what I want. I grew up with the values of discipline and hard work, education, and with that, I was able to push myself out of poverty, get a job in the bank, to be able to move up and help other persons, because I know where I came from. I've lived it, I've seen it. So I was able to help other persons within the bank to send their children to school, to be able to own their first home, to help businesses to be able to add value to the economy, hire persons, expand their businesses, and create value to society. And after leaving the bank, I decided to start my own business, which is doing well, and my two sons are in the business. But what I realized, there was a need in St. Lucia. There's a need. Persons have been forgotten. Persons are crying out, especially for health care, high cost of living in this country. And even justice in this country, justice moves very slow, especially women of domestic violence. So I realized there's a need. And I would like to see St. Lucians do better as a whole. And I am coming into politics to try to impact change for the betterment of St. Lucians. I know you're saying, why get into politics? It's not something that I would have set out to do on my own. But I think it's divine intervention that I'm here, because it wasn't the first thing. And by getting into it, I'm seeing how lives are impacting, in the sense that when you're there for the people, you're with them and you see their struggles and you're in the struggles with them and you can make a difference. It's something that I enjoy doing and I love doing.
Okay, well, never mind the question, Marcella. I am one who believes that politics is as noble an endeavor as any other occupation that someone may undertake. And I always say that there's nothing wrong with politics. There are rotten politicians, and so if you have rotten politicians, then you'll get bad politics. But there's nothing wrong with politics, really, and especially the intentions that most come with. Andre, you have spoken about that before. When they come, they always come with good intentions, and once they stick to those good intentions, there's nothing wrong with that. But I will go back to the dirty nature of politics sometimes. You know, Marcella, when I say to Andre, boy, I heard you going up and so on, he runs away, you know. Right?
Yeah.
And so on. So. But it is not for everyone, I mean, like anything else, and you have to be strong to be in it. But you've struck me as a very committed, very focused, very courageous and strong woman. And so I have no doubt that you will fare well in the political arena. And I certainly, from the onset, want to wish you every success. And like anything else, you don't think that you'll come here and I do not speak about Gros Islet in particular and your opponent. I mean, you are the UWP. You have been presented as and endorsed as the UWP candidate for Gros Islet, and you will be taking on the incumbent Kenson Kazimi. I mean, you have made it clear. I've interacted with you before. You've made it clear that you're not into the gutter politics. You're not into bringing people down and so on. But forgive me if I ask for a comparison between you and your opponent. What is it you're going to be doing that is different? Why should I, as a voter in Gros Islet, remove Kenson and replace him with Marcella?
I could tell you what I will be doing different, and I will give you some examples. I'm on the ground in the community. And when I go through the community, Spider, you know what I hear? People are crying and saying that they don't see the constituency rep. They go to the office, he's never there. They call him, he never answers the phone. They send text messages, no responses. And prior to the election, he asked for their vote. He would be in their yards, shaking their hands, picking mangoes off the ground with them. And after that, they haven't seen him.
I can guarantee you they'll start seeing him again.
Well.
And you know why? Because an election is approaching.
So I sit with persons in their homes, with their children and so on, and I hear their concerns. And rightfully so, they have the concerns. And who's supposed to be able to help them and protect them but the rep? Things are happening and nothing is being said. Farmers are being left without the proper resources, such as the oil, the water tanks, and nothing is being done. We have, and Spider would have started a nice little project there, Tea Village in Gros Islet, and the farmers go there to sell their produce. No washrooms for them to be able to relieve themselves. Very uncomfortable situations. So, as a rep, I, Marcella Johnson, will ensure when I get in there, I will be a voice for the people. I will listen to their concerns, come up with solutions to be able to solve their problems. And you see that constituency there? I will make sure that they see me in that constituency office whenever they're supposed to. I will not disappear after an election. As a banker, I know what it means to serve people. Service is key. I value relationships. I believe in people. I empathize with people. And I will not behave in that manner that is very disrespectful. When you place your trust in me, I will prove to you that I will work hard and I will fight for you.
Okay, now
so Spider, do you believe that she's able to do it? I'll tell you why I'm asking that question. Mm-hmm. We've spoken about this many times before, where you become an MP/minister, and you know the challenges of running a ministry or ministries and so on, and then making the time now to go and do what you're supposed to do in the constituency.
I listened to Andre. She started by saying they're not seeing the MP. Now, yes. I was about interjecting when she went on to explain, and so on. Now, the thing about it is, when all politicians, when they come, they complain about the absence of their predecessor or the incumbent and so on. Now, I can tell Marcella, despite her best efforts, people are not going to see her like they're seeing her now. Because right now, Marcella, you're in full campaign mode. You do it for 24 hours, but When you become the parliamentary representative, your party most likely will form the government. You will be a minister of government. That takes up a lot of time to be parliamentary rep and minister at the time. So you'll not be as readily available. But what I like that she said is that she will have her constituency day and she will make herself available. She also mentioned when messages are sent, because let's face it, Andrew, with technology today, you don't even have to be the one to deal with the messages, you know. You could have your staff deal with the messages and they bring to your attention what is relevant. They respond by saying, Andre, Marcella will get back to you next week or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is an important point that she raised. The respect, you know, the courtesy that you extend to, I call it your customers, who are the constituents, by responding to them, by making yourself available, while they cannot see you every day like they do now. But at least she's saying, and she, of course, was emphatic that she will keep to that promise, that they will see her at least on constituency day. She'll make herself available and so on. And that is what is important. That is what's not happening now.
It's about being structured and organized.
Yeah.
Once you manage your time properly, you should be able to achieve your goals. So it's about goal setting.
And you know, I'll be honest. I worked with the MP for a few years,
Right.
and I've been trying to reach him, I think, over a year now. I just can't get him.
You're not the only
Doesn't
one.
answer his phone, doesn't return calls.
Right.
I mean, that's amazing. I say, well, he can't be that busy.
You know, I mean, Gros Islet is one of the most populous constituencies, and it is a challenge. Andre, I would, every down moment, I would take that opportunity to return calls and so on. I would meet people, like I'm a Friday night regular, street party Friday night regular in Gros Islet.
Saturday sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. And so even...
I was talking about Almo's place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even at the street party on a Friday night, and you would say, okay, that's a man's downtime and whatever. The fact that I'm out, people approach me, I would at least entertain. If it's something real heavy, what I did, and you might take that trick, Marcella, I would have my card. I'll give and say, man, give me a call, whatever day, maybe Monday or whatever, so we can deal with that. Because, I mean, if you tell me about your road, I can't address that there right now. But if it's just a matter you just want to convey to me, I will listen, I will hear you. And that is where it makes a difference in terms of the interaction. It can be tough in a constituency like Gros Islet where you have thousands and thousands of people. But I note the fact that some disappear after they have become elected, and Marcella actually specifically mentioned that she will not disappear. Now, Marcella, the difference between you coming into politics now and when I came into politics, I could have said those things in 2001, and Andre couldn't prove that I said that after I won.
Right.
But you know, Andre will play that back in your face 5 years from now.
Yes.
You know, that's the beauty about technology now. It is there, it is recorded and so on. And I know you're a responsible person, you know that.
Yes.
And you wouldn't make promises that you cannot keep. And that's something politicians have to be mindful of. Do not overpromise when you know you cannot keep those promises. And,
Exactly.
you know, and so on. But
Yeah.
I have another question to ask you. I mean, there are two major parties. Okay, there's the option of independence. You might tell me, well, independents don't do so very well, so most people do not gravitate towards that. But why UWP?
Why UWP?
Yeah.
I've looked at both parties. I've looked at their principles. When I look at the United Workers' Party, the United Workers' Party stands for a party of progress. They stand for a party that develops the country, develop people. When you develop people, you give them opportunities so that they can thrive. Then the country thrives. So these policies align with my values of hard work and progress, entrepreneurship. So these are the values that I subscribe to: integrity, honesty. We have a group of hardworking men and women in this party that care, that they are concerned about the well-being of St. Lucians and the country. And these are the principles that I believe in and I align myself to. I don't believe in handouts. Handouts don't do anything for persons. Handouts are just meant to keep you at a certain level so you cannot move up. I believe in empowering people so that they can do better. The future generations can do better.
When you say a handout, what do you mean? Give us an example.
We have we have persons who believe that a government should give them assistance all the time rather than having to work for it. So in other words, I will go to the government to give me, say, $500, right? Or let's say you have a program where you have an employment program and it's short term, like say a week. Persons go to work, they get paid. It's for a few days, they get this lump sum. Let's say it's $500. You don't have employment for, let's say, another 6 months. That's not sustainable. Persons need to be employed monthly so that they can take care of their families, their loved ones. They could send their children to school so that they can be a man or a woman. When you have money in your pocket all the time, you feel you're a man or a woman, you could take care of your family. But when you're given short-term employment and handouts, that's not going to do anything for you. It's meant to keep you poor.
Okay, so, but at the same time, we know that there are people who need assistance, like the elderly and the incapacitated and so on. There are social programs
and
for
yes,
that. Yeah,
there are social programs to help persons who need assistance, and that's fine. But when you have young persons who need proper employment and they cannot find work, and they are left idly to be left up to their own devices, then something is wrong in this country. We need to create opportunities for our young persons, recreational facilities, training institutions to be able to help them to be able to become young entrepreneurs, to be able to do things that would uplift society. And in that way, it would also combat crime, because when persons are actively involved in gainful employment, then that should help reduce crime.
Yeah. So, Marcella, there's something Andre wants to say, but he'll not say because I'm there. But I will say it. I mean, we noticed that the United Workers' Party has, in effect, 12 new candidates, you being one of them. And it is said that, for advancement, for rejuvenation, for progress and so on, you have to make changes from time to time. You must, get new ideas, get new energy, and so on. I'm pleased to see so many of you, mostly young people, and I'm in a position to call you young, Marcella. I'm old enough to do that. I'm old enough for that. And mostly young people are coming in and making themselves available. Like I said, politics not being the most attractive arena to engage in and so on. So I must give you, kudos for that, compliment you and the others who have, made yourselves available to serve St. Lucia. Especially, sometimes we think, boy, I'm in a position where I don't really need to, and why should I subject myself to the abuses? But I say, to the abuses that exist, but I say it is important to give back, like you mentioned, and at the same time, the society that you create is a society that you're going to live in. So, it is important that you are. And I want to compliment all of you, not just you, but the 11 other new candidates of the United Workers' Party. I look forward to seeing you all bring fresh ideas, new vigor, new energy, and so that, things can become even better than the likes of those who were there. I'm not sure who they are, but those who were there before, and so on. So I compliment you on that.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for Marcella, Andre? Before I move on, I go into an area that she might be a little uncomfortable with?
No, go right ahead.
Okay,
I'll follow.
Marcella, I talk about the nasty nature of politics. However, I was quick to say there is nothing fundamentally wrong with politics. There are nasty politicians, and that's what makes politics look nasty. I heard a sitting government MP, a member of cabinet, make some reference to you on a talk show, just like I am hosting a talk show. He has his regular talk show weekly. And he made a very despicable comment. I'm sure it has been brought to your attention, and I just want your reaction to it. And here, in case Andre is wondering what I'm talking about, and you are wondering what I'm talking about the comment made by El Quapo, and you may not refer to him by that name, but you know who I'm talking about. The minister in the Prime Minister's office. Now, that is very important. He was not a member of the Labour Party. They claim he was an independent candidate. but he was handpicked, despite the fact that the St. Lucia Labour Party won 13 seats. So they were starving for members of parliament. The Prime Minister handpicked him and brought him into the cabinet in the Prime Minister's office. The Prime Minister is aware of the behavior, the conduct, the character of that gentleman. However, he is out there on a weekly basis castigating, abusing, intimidating, maligning people on a talk show. The last thing I heard was a comment he made in reference to you, Marcella, where he referred to you as an honorary white. Now, for my listeners and viewers, that is a comment that is associated with apartheid in South Africa. It is the South African apartheid regime that use that term, okay, to describe people they consider to be subhuman or less human than whites, okay. And he referred to you. I think that is a very despicable comment. I reject that kind of statement in our politics. That's a racism at its core, And this, I just want your reaction to a comment like this. And I know you said, well, your back is broad, but I mean, that must be an affront to anybody, being referred to like that, especially by a fellow politician, one who is actually in leadership, who is in the parliament and the cabinet of St. Lucia.
Spider, like you, this is a very, very offensive and racist statement. I believe that. Okay? Referring to me, a woman, right? And I'm sure this person has a mother and sisters. I'm a woman. And you're referring to me in that kind of derogatory manner to belittle people. That should not be tolerated in society. That's a racist comment. And I stand for progress. Persons who don't stand for progress would try their very best to bring people down when they themselves don't stand for progress. Are you saying to me that my intelligence, my success, and everything I've achieved is rooted in racism? You are trying to create an analogy that what I have achieved is because probably it's associated with my husband? No. My successes I've achieved on my own. I'm proud of who I am. I don't need to be honorary anything. I'm proud of my successes. I have my own home. I live in my own home. Nobody bought me my home. Okay? And to think that a minister of government would make that statement about a woman in society, and you are supposed to be there to protect citizens, to uplift citizens, to make life better for citizens, and you're referring to a woman in that way? Something has to be wrong, and St. Lucians need to take a stand against that. And I will go further. This minister is in the Prime Minister's office. I am from Touge. That's a community in Marcia. I am from Castries East. The Prime Minister represents Castries East. My family is from Castries East. And I have not heard him come out and denounce this statement. For someone, a woman who comes from his constituency. Yes, I've been living in the Gros Islet constituency for the past 15 years, but my family is still in that constituency. And the Prime Minister, by saying nothing, is complicit in that behavior because this is a man who's in the Prime Minister's office.
Is your husband a white person?
Yes, my husband is a white man.
Okay.
Yes, but everything I've achieved through my hard work and determination. My successes cannot be attributed to my husband. And my husband will tell you that. I'm a self-made woman. So to try to give persons the impression that I am just there because of my husband, I've been uplifted to a certain position in society because of my husband, is an outright lie. It's false, and it's only there to demean and undermine. But I will tell you something. I will not be intimidated by that kind of behavior. And the more they try to intimidate me, is the more I will rise and show them that I am woman.
Okay, so First of all, let me just tell you, don't hold your breath to think the Prime Minister will have anything to say. The Prime Minister knew the character before he decided to handpick him and place him in his cabinet in his Prime Minister's office. He has become the main spokesperson for the Prime Minister and the St. Lucia Labour Party government. And the Prime Minister recently publicly stated that this is a member of his cabinet that he is proud of. So what you and I know Andre too, I'm not speaking for you, Andre, but we all condemn and figure that is out of place and does not belong to our politics. The Prime Minister is proud of, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And not only the Prime Minister, because I heard the rep for Gros Islet saying in a speech that his mentor is this individual.
Yeah, that's correct.
And when somebody like this is your mentor, that means you subscribe to similar values. Right. And I have seen the negative attacks on my social media page. Persons are saying, they tell me to come on your page and make negative comments. So he, the mentee, is actually subscribing to that kind of negative behavior, that negative politics. And we as St. Lucians, women, should take a stand and say no to that kind of behavior.
Very well said, because, Andre, if you are my mentor, it means I emulate you, I try to copy you. Unfortunately, I don't have the voice that you have. But, you watch what that person does and you try to be like that person. So, I feel no way of sitting here and saying, well, boy, Andre Paul is my mentor, Will Quinn is my mentor, Timothy Polion is my mentor. I have no problem in saying so or doing that. But there are certain individuals you do not want to associate with to begin with, let alone to indicate to the public that you want to be like those people. So, like you said, you quite rightly indicated that if you are saying that this individual is your mentor, you ascribe to his mentality, his approach, and the vile and disgraceful behavior and conduct of his. So that's what you are yourself, And so it is unfortunate because, and Marcella, I have to say, I think women have a place in our politics, but I am very disappointed with the women who sit in our parliament today, because there are women sitting in cabinet and in parliament who have not uttered one word when those abusive statements are being made. Now, there is another abusive statement he made with reference to Marcella. I'm not going to bring it up, at least not in her presence. I don't think any lady is supposed to be confronted or faced with that kind of degrading comment, And I'm not trying to play like I'm more sensitive about women's issues, than any other person, but any decent self-respect.
My back is broad. You can bring up whatever comment it said. You don't need to protect me from any comment.
Okay. Well, any decent, self-respecting man in this country must condemn a statement like that. My mother is deceased now, but that's a person that I have the highest regard for and I respect to the T. I have a wife, I have a daughter, and I have relatives that are women. And I will never endorse or condone such statements about women. Now, apart from the racist comment, Marcella, he made another comment, something to the effect that the one from Gros Islet, meaning you, if you want to honor her husband, then come to Richard Frederick. Now, you see Andre reacted like he want to vomit. Now, I will play the clip for you afterwards because I have it. And I don't just come and make allegation statements like that. I found that so vile, so crass, so despicable. And you know who I look at even worse for all of this? Philip J. Pierre, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. You to tell me you're proud. And Dr. Ernest Hiller also stated that he's proud of Richard Frederick. When we have gone that route and to get the endorsement and to have the complicity of the highest people holding the highest office in this country, we are going in the wrong direction, and St. Lucians must take a stand now and do something about it. We need more decent, self-respecting people to be involved in our politics. We need to clean up our politics by getting rid of such characters.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Mr. Montoute. You started by talking about the rotten politicians.
Right.
It's not that politics is rotten, it's
Right.
the people who are
It's the people.
in the politics,
Yeah.
right? Okay. In the police force, for example, the high command is expected to vet individuals before
right.
they are given positions as police officers, right?
Yes.
So does the same apply in a political organization where if somebody's applying, as in the case there of our dearly beloved friend here,
Marcella
right?
is there, and I
Yes.
can tell you, as a person who has been deeply involved in the UWP, we do. Now, nothing is foolproof, I must admit, and some things can slip through the cracks, but the United Workers' Party has a rigorous vetting program that we go through. They go through the constituency branch, first of all. After that, they go through the national executive, and the party, and then Island Council and everything have to endorse them. So they go through interviews.
In
They
some
go through
cases, polls are done.
polls are done on them. They go to interviews, and whether they know it or not, questions are asked about them in the community. Because, I know Marcella, Andre, but you know her before me. I will ask you a question that but with the vetting is done. That is not to say, at the end of the day, you're gonna still fall short by not discovering things. But Andre, what I will say to you is, it is very difficult in a small society like ours for me not to know who Marcella Johnson is if I really want to. And so if the party is serious, before they select her, they would know the individual that they are selecting. Now, when you're talking about someone like myself or El Quapo, who have been in politics for 20 years or more, there's not much people do not know about us, Andre. Now, mind you, the people who know the most about El Quapo is the St. Lucia Labour Party. They defined him, they characterized him, they told us exactly who he was, so they know. Okay? After doing so, Philip J. Pierre, remember, was the second in command, right under Kenny Anthony, understudying Kenny Anthony. He was there, he was part of all of what we were being told about Richard Frederick. And so he knows better than you do, he knows better than I. And yet still, he feels that that is what St. Lucia deserves, to take an individual like this, put him in his office, make him his main spokesperson, Minister of Housing, Minister of Local Government, and the minister responsible for misogynistic statements, for racism, and for insularity. He's responsible for all of that. Because every time he speaks, that's what comes out of his mouth. He's abusing some woman somewhere. He's trying to intimidate some guy somewhere. He's trying to bully somebody somewhere. He's like, the man has come on television and said, flash files, and said that the police is providing him information on private citizens, confidential information on private citizens. When you think of a character like this, I will not even go back to some of the nonsense he has said about me. As guys, and I give some leeway in the politics too, Andre. I give some leeway for Pekong, but you can't categorize this kind of statements as Pekong. You understand what I'm saying? You can, you call Stephenson King the lazy roller, and that kind of thing, to describe how ineffective and inefficient he is and so on. But when you get so low, and and that's not a rum shop conversation, that's on television, national TV, and
Yeah, these comments, these kind of racist comments are meant to distract the people from the real issues. You see, the Labour Party is not doing what they are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Persons are crying out, and what really matters is focusing on the youth, the elderly, and other persons to be able to have gainful employment so they can take care of their families. That is not happening. So these kinds of comments are meant to distract us from what they are not doing.
So, Marcella, I must tell you.
So this other comment, was that at a public meeting?
No, on his show.
And he actually mentioned Marcella's name?
He said the one for Gros Islet. Clear reference to her. So, Andre,
And I just want to say, I'm not getting out of politics because persons are trying to intimidate me.
Oh, thanks.
I'm in politics for the long run, to help the people of St. Lucia, the legacy that I leave behind, the lives I can impact.
Now, Andre, that's important because you know what? You and I will say, boy, not me. But you know, when every good person takes that position, all that will be left in politics is nasty, unscrupulous individuals like El Guapo, Richard Frederick, and complicit facilitators like the Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre. So we have to encourage decent people to remain in politics. And the way we can do it is by we, those who are not involved, taking a stand to show that we do not endorse, we do not encourage, we do not accept that kind of behavior in our politics, and we reject those who come with that kind of politics. And so I'm happy to hear this morning, as a constituent of Gros Islet, that Marcella is condemning that kind of politics, especially since her opponent has embraced it to such an extent that he has made the main perpetrator of that kind of politics his mentor.
I want to ask both you and Marcella a very important question. You said a while ago that people would know who you are. Okay? In other words, when you do your vetting and so on, people in the community know the sort of person that you are, and by extension, the country, right? Because this is a small place, right? So what about the fact that if people know, right, certain individuals who are in the politics and those that your party considers to be the rotten ones, I mean, the party cannot, well, in a sense, force you to choose that person. The electorate, they're the ones who make the final decision as to who they want to vote for. So how do you explain somebody who the society allegedly knows to be a particular way? I'm not saying anybody in particular, and the electorate will still vote for that individual.
There are many factors, Andre. Sometimes, people figure because politics is so nasty, if they say, Andre is greedy, it's just political rhetoric, and that is not true, and you find that kind of thing. They call you all kinds of names in politics. I can tell you that.
So in other words, you're saying the people just slough that off. It's just politics.
Very often.
That sort of thing.
Very often. Then there are, there's the Robin Hood thing, where everybody knows Robin Hood is a thief, but he shares the spoils with you, Andre. So, he steals, but you know that he steals, but he gives you a little something from the loot, and so you go with him and so on. These are the things that we have to stamp out in our society. We have to stand by principle, because in the long run, at the end of the day, you lose more, and there's a higher cost.
The country loses.
Yeah, the country loses, well, and there's a higher cost that you have to pay and so on. That if you do things right in the first place, it always ends better, and so we have to preserve the integrity and the dignity of the offices that we put people in and call them honorable. Honorable has a meaning, Andre. You understand what I'm saying? And you cannot have people who do not deserve that title to be carrying it.
So let me ask you another question. If you say that the people generally, because of the nature of politics, dismiss the negative talk, why continue with the negative talk? Wouldn't it be better maybe to just leave it alone?
Well, what we do, what I am doing is not negative talk. I'm highlighting the negative. That's what I'm doing. I'm talking about the negative, not engaging in negative talk. And so, but what I realize has to be done, I do not just say that Andre cussed me. I play a clip of you, Andre. So I provide the evidence. That is what I do. And so people are not pleased with a lot of what I've been doing of late, but they cannot challenge what I'm doing. They cannot deny what I'm doing. I mean, and who don't like it, those on the other side. Because there are some, despite everything, they will defend and they will accept. But I think there are more decent, self-respecting people in this country than they are degenerates.
So Marcella, do you plan to go down that road? The negative?
Good question.
Andre, that's a very good question. And what I can say to you, I don't subscribe to those kinds of values. I go to church. I follow the biblical principles of Christianity. This is not the values of Christianity. So I will not go down that route of this negativity. And, politicians that are that way, they need to check themselves, because that gutter politics should not be in our society. What are we teaching our children? We have young people who are looking up to us. We're supposed to be mentors to persons in society, and we behaving like that.
He is, Marcella. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but he is a mentor.
Yes.
There is your opponent has him as his mentor. But what we need
to
is
bring back a
positive role models.
society of respect.
Yeah.
When I grew up as a child, Andre, and we walked the streets, your parents would say, you have to say good morning, good afternoon. You couldn't pass somebody on the road without saying hello. Where's this in our society anymore? The moral fabric of our society is breaking down. And you know what happens? It starts from the very top. So these politicians need to set the example. And I'm sorry to say, I will not be that kind of politician. If anybody wants me to be that kind of politician, Marcella is not that person.
Don't you think that would probably diminish your prospects of winning a seat? Don't you think so? If you would go the straight and narrow?
I believe in the people. The people are intelligent, and the people know right from wrong. The people are the ones voting politicians into office and out of office. When the people vote and they take a stand against that kind of behavior, then we will see what the people want. And I believe that the people are inherently good and they do not like the gutter politics.
And Andrea, I was about to say, the Gros Islet I know are predominantly decent people. And that kind of politics will not work in Gros Islet, for sure. I'm telling you, Andre, I'm predicting that the incumbent in Gros Islet has a big price to pay for adopting Richard Frederick as his mentor. I am telling you. You know? Because people in Gros Islet are very different. I mean, I've said it before and I'm saying it again. I think the Gros Islet voter is among the most discerning, most independent voters. And in terms of the standards in Gros Islet, it is certainly among the highest in St. Lucia. So that will not work in Gros Islet. So I'm happy to hear Marcella, declare that she is not going to engage in that kind of politics.
So,
plus, it is good for our national politics.
Agree. So if you're not going to be engaging in that sort of politics, how will you bring home that seat? What's the plan?
Highlight the issues, what is not being done. I will ensure that I put it on the table so that the people can be aware of what's happening, and I will find solutions. In conjunction with the people, we come up with solutions that are amenable to various communities, and this is how we are going to work together to get it done.
Yeah. So, in terms of cost of living, well, before I go into that, the Prime Minister, Andre and Marcella, presented the estimates, Tuesday, and we have laid out in a record budget of about $2 billion. Okay, that's the highest we have had in St. Lucia's history, and so on. Now, I do not know when you talk about record. When I hear record, I imagine something that has never been done before, but something good, something, that kind of thing. But if my debt has gone up to $1 million, it has never been that way before. I don't know about the record, what there is to boast about in that. So to say that we have a $2 billion thing, I mean, as time goes on, Andre, naturally our budget will increase, and so on. But, the question I ask is, a lot of that money, over $1 billion, will be going into recurrent expenditure and to paying loans, right? What is important is how much is going to be allocated for capital projects, that is the development of the country. And we've had, say, for example, with this $2 billion, in the last 4 budgets, we probably have had over $5 billion by this government, budgeted. The important question is, what have we gotten for that? What have they done with all that money? That is the important question. And so I reflect on the last 4 years, Andre, and I can see some of the things that has happened that I feel disheartened about. The SLMDA told me that our healthcare is the worst that it has ever been. The statistics on crime tells me that since this government came into office, every year, the statistics on homicides is increasing. We had another record last year. When I look at my pocket, it tells me that I am being taxed more than I've ever been before by that additional 2.5%. Now, Andre, why I keep harping on that 2.5% is not just 2.5%, Andre. 2.5% on goods and services. When Andre buys the good, he puts his 2.5%. Marcella, the retailer, comes and she puts her 2.5%. So when you're talking about 2.5%, by the time it gets by the time it gets to me, how many 2.5s have been put on it? Andre is passing it on to Marcella. Marcella is passing it on to the other person. Eventually, it comes to me, the consumer. So I am worse off. I have less money in my pocket, less disposable income. That is what the government does not understand.
Check the supermarket shelves.
Exactly.
Every week you go, the prices are changing.
When you look at the gas prices in the OECS, we have among the highest. Andre, when gas was $120 a barrel, 20 US a barrel and so on, gas in St. Lucia was $13.95 under UWP government. Today, it is about somewhere around $70 a barrel, Andre. It is $16.50. Now, I never professed to be too strong in maths. I have a banker there, so I'll not try to even play like, I'm too strong in maths. But, Andre, my maths does not tell me that makes sense. You understand what I'm saying? As the prices go down, I expect to pay less, Andre. But you know why we're not paying less? It's because the government is extorting from us. The savings that they should pass on to us, they are keeping it for government. So when they boast about they have all the revenue they made, it's from us they are taking it. They are bleeding us, And like the leader of the opposition, the leader of the United Workers' Party, the next Prime Minister of St. Lucia, always says, people can handle their finances better than government can. And I subscribe to that statement. There's far more efficiencies at the personal level, Andre, because the fact is your money, you don't waste it, Andre. And so
what is it that you're saying? What is better when the money is in the hands of the people?
It is, for many reasons. Not only are we more efficient with the use of the money,
more disposable income, you spend.
Right, and there's more commerce. There's more commerce, and that makes the economy more buoyant.
Yes.
So more taxes, even you'll pick up more taxes and that kind of thing. But not by increasing taxes or adding taxes, you're going to make money. And that's all the government knows. That's all it
constricts the economy.
Can you explain a little better for us? Because you're a banker. Can you explain that and break that down, please?
Okay. So when you tax people, so in other words, if your salary is X amount, let's say $2,000, and you impose a tax, that would take probably $200 out of your salary, so that you have $200 less than you would normally have to spend at the supermarket, at the hairdresser, in the rum shop. So when you don't have that money to spend anymore, that money is no longer circulating in the economy. When money is circulating in the economy, so you might have money, you might be able to hire a mason to do something for you. When you don't have that money, you can't do that anymore. So the economy contracts as a result. So everybody feels it. The businesses feel it. The small businesses eventually would phase out because there's no activity. You will feel it because when you go to the supermarket, you will buy less groceries. So it's a domino effect.
So, Andre,
So as a former minister,
right,
what is the thinking of the government when they introduce these taxes? Because they seem to think that that's the way to go.
Well, Andre, that's a good question, but you're asking the wrong person, because as part of a government that reduced taxes, we took VAT from 15% to 12.5%, and the intention was to further reduce it. Of course, you had COVID and all of that, and we lost the election. Having lost the election, instead of reducing it further, they put a 2.5 levy, which is worse than a 2.5 VAT. You understand
it's compounded.
It's compounded.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things I support the UWP for is that policy of allowing the middle class to grow, putting money in the hands of the people, understanding how an economy works, and so on. The St. Lucia Labour Party does not understand how an economy works, and that is why they believe so much in taxation.
Even if the Prime Minister
is a deliberate policy of the St. Lucia Labour Party to keep persons in a certain...
That's the thing. It may be a strategy, because if
I was just reminding you of something.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister is an economist.
Yeah, what kind of economist? You see, there are economists who believe, because you see, those people in the socialist and communist countries, they are economists too, But what kind of economy they practice, you understand what I'm saying? Where you have a free, open economy where people can grow and is based on merit and competition and all of that kind of thing. If you put in the effort, you get the reward and so on. But whenever you try to have state control, you take all the money from the people and you decide what happens with it. There is a reason for that, Andre. Because, Andre, right now, I can control you. I'm not feeding you. I'm not the one buying clothes for you. I'm not so you can easily tell me go to hell. But when you have to depend on me for everything that you need, I have control over you.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So and that's the point Marcella was making about the handouts. Now, she doesn't believe in handouts and so on. But, when she implemented the UWP policy, her policy, I become an independent. So she had to watch how she talked to me tomorrow, You know something? But if I have to depend on her for handout, every time I go to her to beg and that kind of thing, that is the policy of the St. Lucia Labour Party. Keep people poor, keep people down so that they can have control. You see, they tell you they are government Malawi, Andre. They have never explained that to us, but that's basically what it is about. They are happy.
And yet the
with
elderly are forgotten.
Well,
I will give you the story of an elderly woman, 101 years old. She went to the hospital, OKEU. When she left the hospital, she was presented with a bill of close to $2,000. Can you believe it? An elderly lady, 101 years.
Well,
that money is supposed to be taking care of this lady, her medication, her food, and so on. And you have to pay the hospital bill. And then you say you have universal health care for persons over 80. So that's a lie then. Why did this lady have to pay a hospital bill of close to $2,000?
And that happened recently?
That happened very recently in this country. What kind of country are we? What is our country got?
A country where you have a government that is just openly, outright, blatantly just bluffing. Because, Andre,
Yes.
I've heard many people say the 80-year-olds are entitled to free medication. And I've made that as a statement here several times before. Even if you promise me a free drink every time I come here, but every time I come here, I may have no drinks. I have to go to the mall and buy my drink, Andre. So when the people come, they're entitled to free medication, but there's no medication. So they have to go to the private pharmacy and pay for the medication.
Many stories.
So that's a bluff. It is a bluff. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, in the case of the 101-year-old, I mean, we have to admit every citizen has to pay the bills for use of the medical facility. So
Not
what are you saying?
I don't subscribe to that view.
You have the people that are exempted.
These elderly persons, they're the ones who came before us to build our society. They worked hard through their sweat, their tears, whatever it is, to bring the society to what it is today, the infrastructure, everything. I believe when you're a certain age, we should have proper policies in place, social policies to take care of our elderly. These persons should not have to be spending whatever little money they have to take care of themselves, to be able to spend on hospital care and so on. Having good medical facilities, that's a right, not a privilege. And these persons should be taken care of and should not have to be spending so much money.
I agree with you 100%. Mr. Montoute, your party was part of a government that didn't change that.
We did. Let me just say what we did. Apart from wiping out the debt of all those who couldn't pay at the National Hospital, we wiped that out completely. What we also did,
yes, but it's still
provided
policy
assistance
that you pay.
We provided assistance to those who could not. And when you heard the St. Lucia Labour Party talk about, the UWP removed the distress fund. The distress fund they set up, what they call the distress fund, was only to assist people whose houses got burnt and that kind of thing. What we did, we realized that there were people in distress that went beyond just houses being burnt. We set up what we call a contingency fund. The distress fund had something like about $800,000 in it. The distress fund had about $800,000. The contingency fund had about $5-6 million in it. Apart from helping people whose houses got burned and so on, we also provided assistance for healthcare to many St. Lucians. okay, those who could not afford. And so, that is what you do. But I want Marcella to tell me. You're tackling me, and again,
When?
I want Marcella to tell me, what will UWP do?
Exactly. If you go to win the next election, especially for the elderly. Because the way it works in St. Lucia, the minute you see you're retired, you're on your own. Right. This is how it is in St. Lucia. The NIC...
Especially if you don't have property, Andre.
Exactly. So this is how it is.
When the UWP returns to office, we will ensure that all citizens, not just only the elderly, but all citizens have access to affordable health care in St. Lucia. So we'll create a policy where we'll have a national health insurance policy for all citizens. So the elderly persons will be taken care of.
Andre, to be honest with you, maybe it is where I am in life now. When I was young, talk about health, talking to me, you know what I'm saying? I never felt I would get sick and all of that. But you get, but that was a wrong mentality though, because anybody can get sick at any stage in life. But particularly now at this stage that I am.
Yeah, we,
all right? I didn't want to put it to expose you, Andre. But healthcare is of particular interest and concern to me. And that is one of the policies that I'm particularly interested in. National health insurance. When, as Marcella explained, every St. Lucian will get coverage, up to $75,000. So that can cover certain kinds of operations and things like that. So, Andre, that while I am sick, I don't think it's pride that I feel I'm above anything, But while I'm sick, for you and Marcella to go and sell bakes and raise funds and so on.
Yeah.
Andre, remember, I'm sick all that time. I'm waiting for you all, You understand what I'm saying? I'm getting worse all the time, and I sometimes, if you fall short, sometimes person die in the process and so on. I want to know that policy can be implemented so that I don't have to worry about that aspect of it.
I agree with you.
Very important to me. Many policies that the party has put forward, that one I am particularly interested in, And so I'm happy to hear Marcella repeated, because... So
Marcella, you're saying if the United Workers' Party were to win the next election...
When?
Okay, all right. That people who are 100 and something years old would not have to worry about paying any 1,000 plus
They wouldn't have to worry about affordability of their healthcare or access to healthcare. Because you know what's happening right now with OKEU and the other institutions. Persons have to wait for hours on plastic chairs, no beds. Somebody took their mother recently from the Grand Riviere area to the hospital in ICU. And the person called me, and you know what the person said to me? They put my mother on a bed, no bed sheet. No bed sheet at the hospital.
Wow.
That's like last week. So that's what's happening. No basic medications.
In all fairness, Andre, healthcare is expensive worldwide. That is why you need a government who understands that and will put plans and policies in place to finance healthcare. Andre, they charge you and I 2.5% levy on goods and services. And one of the reasons, they gave two reasons. One, for security. Two, healthcare.
Yes.
Andre, we have never seen healthcare worse. We have never seen security worse. So, Andre,
that's the worst it has been.
So what you did was pay to mess up my healthcare and my security, Andre, with that 2.5%. That's in effect what happened. Now, St. Lucians are very tolerant people, we paid for it and got it worse than it was before. So I'm saying I want a government that understands that among the top priorities in any country is my security and my safety and my health. Top priorities. And there are many other things, education and all of the things that are important as well. But these things mean nothing without healthcare, without good health and without security. And that is where the UWP, in presenting their policies, has shown that they are by far a superior party to the St. Lucia Labour Party, and that is why they have always done better in government than the St. Lucia Labour Party.
And I want to add something on that 2.5%, a point we're missing, how we the people of St. Lucia was misled when that 2.5% was introduced.
What did they tell us, Marcella?
They told us it was for health and security. And then a few months later, we were hearing that it was for conditions to fulfill for a loan.
Now,
Did you know that?
Yes, I remember
Okay.
when the Prime Minister made the announcement in
and
the
you will
House.
not say it, that's why I'll say it.
No, but I remember.
I've never come across a politician who lies like the Prime Minister. Blatant, open lies. And almost every week, Andre, I have another talk show. Almost every week, I am presenting clips of the Prime Minister blatantly lying. The last Monday, it was about, what was it? That situation I was in the House with Fede and so on, where he said he never went to the courts with Ernest Hiller to see that justice was working. He himself said he never did it. And the worst thing about it, Andre, like a disease, you know, I suspect lying is contagious. So in the Senate, Senator Gideon Ferdinand lied about it too. And the President of the Senate, Alvin Reynolds, lied about it too. So I suspect it's contagious, you understand what I'm saying? By rubbing shoulders with the Prime Minister. I don't know between the Prime Minister and El Papo who lies more, but by rubbing shoulders with them, the others have begun lying as well.
But let me ask you something on that
But as
particular.
politicians, Andrew, we need to be transparent because we are accountable to the people. So being very honest and open in our communications is important.
Mr. Montoute, I remember that incident with the Mr. Philip J. Pierre attending the court case and so on. But to me, I remember he was the opposition leader at the time.
No.
He wasn't Prime Minister.
He was Prime Minister at the time. He went there with his Attorney General, the Speaker of the House, himself. He went there. I know that for sure because I played the clip and I played the interview they had with him outside the courthouse. And you know what he said at the press briefing before cabinet? That never happened. I was never there. Emphatically, Andre. And I say, wow. These people have taken lying to a new level. Honestly. And that's not the first time, right? You have had the experience. He told Andre he never said he would give 1,005 for COVID.
But that was in the manifesto.
But Andre had the clip where he said that. And so we have come to accept that, but that should not be acceptable. No. We have to hold our leaders to a higher standard than that. Because if it is believed that lying, you can get by with lying, that will destroy our society, Andre, because I will do certain things and know that I can get away with it by telling a lie. And so we must ensure that we stamp it out. And the only way we have spoken to them, they're not doing anything about it, the only way to stamp it out is to stamp them out. Yes, so we were talking about the high cost of living, Marcella.
Yes.
Another area that concerns me.
By the way, sorry, will you be taking calls later?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
So another thing that concerns me is, apart from the taxes, Andre, is fuel. The high cost of fuel. And I started saying that in the OECS we have among the highest cost of fuel, and I give the example that when UWP was in government, they capped fuel at $13.95. Irrespective of what the price was. It was over $120 a barrel. It was kept at $13.95. Now it is $70, Andre. I would have thought I would be paying something like $12 or something like that for a gallon. That is not the case. I'm paying $16.50. Now, Marcella, I am bawling because any cent you take out of my pocket, you'll see me crying. But aren't there further other implications for having the price of gas so high? Wouldn't it be better for us as a country if we lower the gas price and give people some reprieve?
It's the same analogy with what I used earlier. If you lower the price of gas, you put in more money in persons' pockets, so they have more spending ability to spend throughout the economy. So as they spend, the small businesses do well, and the country as a whole will do well because money is circulating in the economy.
That's right.
But when you keep the prices of fuel so high, persons have less money to spend on groceries and any other thing, entertainment. They can't go out to dinner as they would see fit. You are causing problems by contracting the economy.
Right, and Andre, the other thing is, with the high cost of gas, if I have to drop something grocery for you, or you hire me for a trip to go to Gros Islet, you know you have to pay that extra cost. Now, if the cost of gas was lower, the cost of transportation would be lower. And the cost of transportation affects a lot of things, almost everything.
Everything.
You know, and so that is where there's a ripple effect. Well, when it comes to gas, cost of electricity is higher.
Yes.
Because, we use gas for electricity and so on. So these are the things that...
And not only gas, you have the 100-pound cylinder.
Cylinders,
You have those, the price of the cylinders, it's all at an all-time high as well, the highest in the last 4 years.
And you know why, Andre? Every government, and that includes SLP, UWP, have subsidized the cooking gas. I mean, you say LPG, I know it as cooking gas, so I'll say cooking gas. So everybody can know what I'm talking about. That has always been subsidized by every government. But you know the difference? They have lowered the subsidy. So they reduce the amount of subsidy, so you end up paying more. I mean, Andre, and you know what is good about the St. Lucia Labour Party? And they still manage to tell you that they care about poor people and they put people first after they do all of that to you. And Andre, I'll never stop complaining about the fact that I used to go to the bakery with $1 and leave with 4 loaves.
Imagine.
Okay, I could buy 4 bread on my dollar.
On $1.
All of a sudden, Andre, when I go to the bakery, the most I can get is 2 loaves. I mean...
The pan loaf is what, $6.50? Come on.
Well, I mean, with the pan loaf, it's not price control. And I will say, Andre, if you're fresh enough to want to eat pan loaf, pay for pan loaf, But all poor people, that's what they eat, the Creole bread, It used to be 25 cents. It went from 25 cents to 45 cents under the St. Lucia Labour Party government. I would not support a UWP who would do something like that to me.
No.
You understand? And I'm looking forward, Marcella, to you, who would be my rep, and the United Workers' Party government to do something about that. That is a staple in St. Lucia. Andre, we grew up on it, and we still, a lot of us, that's what we, morning and sometimes
Night,
evening,
yeah.
That's what we eat. Forget you, Andre. When you buy 2 loaves and you're good. A single parent with 2-3 children going to school, you have to give them lunch or prepare the sandwich for them and so on. You know how much more money she needs now to provide breakfast and lunch for her
and dinner.
And dinner.
Dinner.
I mean, that's unconscionable. And you're going to turn around and tell me you wouldn't people first and you care about people and, so that is not so. And so I think people need to begin to take stock of those realities and do something about it.
The prices at the supermarket keep skyrocketing.
That's right.
What's the price of a tuna fish? Basic item now.
Yeah. And so, Marcella, in terms of women issues, I'm going to put you on the spot now. In terms of women issues, I have to tell you, I'm disappointed with most women and women organizations in this country because they do not speak up, they do not speak out when they need to. Now, I've heard you and so on, but there's a campaign going on, so I'm hearing you. Can you give us the assurance that as a leader, that's what you become now, then you become the parliamentary representative, you are representing people, you have to stand up for people, that we can depend on you to take on the causes of women. And I hate to go into it because it's ugly. We're talking about abuse, we're talking about rape, we're talking about
domestic violence.
I mean, not just verbal abuse, but also the physical domestic violence that take place. Like, women are being murdered as well, and so on. I want to know whether you, as a woman, are very disappointed with my parliamentarians now, the sitting female parliamentarians now. We don't hear anything from them. There had to be an outcry recently when Alana was murdered for a couple of them to come out and say something. I must commend you. I heard you very early in the day. But it took an outcry for them to make a statement. That is unacceptable. And you, as a woman, can you tell us whether we can count on you to take up the causes of women in this country?
Spider, very good question. And let me just start by saying that our women and even our children are going through a lot. And nobody's speaking out on issues that are impacting the most vulnerable persons in our society. They have been forgotten.
Single mothers?
Single mothers especially.
Mm-hmm.
A lot is happening. And you mentioned the domestic violence because we had 2 women recently in the Gros Islet community. You had Alana Bernard, Jolie Williams.
Yeah.
These women could have been protected better. Alana was killed just a few feet from her home. This is a single mother, 3 young children, all under the age of 10. And she was raped. The court case would have probably been maybe another day or so. And she was not in any witness protection program to be able to safeguard herself from that. And the other young lady, Jolie Williams, she had made reports of domestic violence. She was trying to leave someone, and this person was stalking her, and this person found her and killed her. That could have been avoided if it was handled properly. We have a safe house which is closed. Where is the Minister of Gender in all of this? What is she doing to ensure that our women and our children, because you have children going through a lot. I mean, you don't hear much about it because they are young and underage and so on. But you have children going through problems in homes and so on, and it's not being handled properly.
Do you know why the safe house is closed?
Well, I know our previous rep, Sarah Flood Bobra, would have done extensive work on ensuring that safe house was there to be able to help those women. And for some reason it has been closed and nobody cares. Nobody cares. But I will guarantee you, when the UWP is in office, I will fight for women and children in this country to ensure that our leaders do the necessary to ensure that we have the proper laws to protect our women and children in this society, because these are our most vulnerable people. I will ensure that I fight to ensure that proper policies are in place, safe houses, proper community policing to ensure that what is supposed to happen happens. We need to ensure that we protect our women and children. Who's looking out for them right now?
Would you like to comment on what you may be able to do as far as this $200 maximum payment to single moms and so on?
Yes.
You want to comment on that? Because that must, as a woman, that must drive you up the wall.
That has been there from time immemorial, that $200. And I could tell you, if I go to the supermarket today just to get probably a little handful of groceries, it'll cost more than $200. So that cannot feed a child for the month. Now, what I could say to you, right? Single mothers, this is the maximum a single mother would get. But as a married woman, in terms of separation, a married woman would get any amount of money, right? Why can't the single mothers be treated as if they were married as well?
Exactly.
You need to look at the situation of the spouse to see what they can afford comfortably to be able to make a proper decision based on their salary. I'm not saying everybody can afford to pay more than $200. It's based on your salary. Certain persons cannot afford it. So this needs to be done in a manner that is equitable so that the women are not left to fend for their children. And then these mothers have to work long hours, and these same children have to stay at home, unsupervised, unattended to. And when these children are left at home because the mothers have to work long hours to take care of them, what happens to our society?
But explain to me, what is so difficult about making the law equitable, where whether you're married or you're in a single or illegitimate relationship, why can the law apply to both? Why is it that the marriage situation is protected where a court will say, well, okay, you're married or divorced right now, but based on your salary, based on your what you have to spend for this and that and the other, you can afford so much and so much. That's how it's done in a marriage setting.
Yes.
What is preventing?
Can I come in here
I would say legislative review needs to be done.
Yeah.
And probably, this is for the attorneys and so on to look at, and maybe it has not been given the attention it deserves. So we need to ensure that as government officials, we look at policies that are beneficial for our society as a whole. And if this is a priority, we need to make it a priority.
You know, Andre, I was just about to say, you asked the question, why, is that so and so, and why it's not being addressed. Andre, that is an argument for gender balance in leadership in government. Because, Andre, let's face it, you and I will talk about it, but you and I can never be as sensitive about it like a woman would, like Marcella would. Because let's be real, you feed your children, but she's the one that has to take the dollar and ensure that you can buy meat, rice, peas, and everything, and so on. So that is, I'm not saying that is only a cause for women, because as a father you're supposed to, but they're more directly impacted by that. So if you have women who are sensitive and concerned about the causes of women in positions, they are supposed to take up that fight and make the changes that are necessary. And that is why I'm happy to hear Marcella so passionate and vociferous about those causes. So I know that we will not have a repetition of what is taking place now. Women who sit in high places, occupy leadership positions, but are unconcerned, unperturbed, because they're not in the situation themselves, but not sensitive to the causes of the other women in this country.
Well, let me give you some more, Marcella, just in case you didn't know. Are you aware that there are certain women who were, say, married to a particular individual? The individual would have passed, and he was a contributor to the NIC, but getting the minimum. So say it's $400, for example, right? Okay. So on his passing, she now becomes entitled to get his benefits, benefits. Say it's $400.
Right.
I think that's the minimum, I believe. Yeah, the minimum, $400. Now, if she decides to remarry, that benefit stops.
It happened to me.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was a single mother when my first husband died. My boys were ages 3 and 11. So when my husband died, I would have been receiving 50% of the pension he would have been receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So out of that 50%, the children would have received 50% and I the 50%. So as soon as I remarried, my 50% stopped. It continued for the children. So in other words, if I was getting $1,200 with the combined 50%, I would now end up getting $600 until the youngest child turned 18. So after that, it would stop. So it happened to me. So I know I can speak firsthand as a single mother. As soon as I got married, it stopped.
So if we're talking about protecting women and so on, shouldn't that be looked at?
That should be looked at. That should be looked at. That is
wrong. I'm impressed.
It is wrong.
As a man, for you to be bringing up.
Oh, yes.
It's wrong. And I've lived it, so I can tell you it's wrong. So we have to look at it as well.
And are you aware also, as you said you lived it, that if anything had happened to you, that you had passed suddenly, your children would be entitled to a half of what you were getting? A half. So assuming you were getting $600, for example, as you're saying, they'll be entitled to $300, basically perpetuating poverty.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So do you promise to look into those issues?
As a woman who have been there and lived it, I will make it my duty to ensure that I look into those issues and to influence what needs to happen to be able to try to effect change in these areas. I know it takes a team, but I have a voice, and I will ensure that my voice is heard by ringing it home, being like what they say, a tinani. That's what I will be like.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I think she knows, Andre, that she's making pronouncements there that are on record.
And I love what she said. She's been through it.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget also what you said earlier at the beginning of the program, that you were from Toulouse.
Yes.
Right? You were born in poverty and so on, and you now become a powerful lady, highly educated, etc., etc. So, as they say, who feels it knows it.
Who feels it knows it. Yeah.
And there are many other issues, like for example, now we know that the age of consent, for example, is 18. So, before, you had a person considered to be a child still up to 18, but consent, when it came to consent, it was 16. Now it is 18, and I think that's a step in the right direction.
I think so too.
Positive measure and so on. And I think a lot of the laws have to be reviewed in terms of how matters such as rape and all of those things are handled, because it's very dehumanizing and humiliating for most women to have to go through that experience. And when they report it, Andre, it's almost like they go through another ordeal. To have, it's very humiliating and so on. We have to find ways.
Dehumanizing.
We have to find ways to make it more, humane for a woman who has gone through that trauma to be able to get justice and so on. Because, most cases are not reported, Andre. And there are many good reasons why the women are reluctant.
And if they're reported, they never go through the justice system because our justice system is too slow.
And so there's a lot that needs to be done. And that's why you need a cadre of men and women, Andre, with diverse background, with wide range of experiences, and most of all, strong commitment. Because, when you get into government, I've been there, so I know, you can get so caught up into some of the other things that these little matters just get swept under the rug if you don't have people who are really committed to those causes, And so it is good that that my future rep, Andre, because I'm a constituent of Gros Islet, and I've always been a voter in Gros Islet, but this time I'm just a constituent. And so, I'm happy to know that these are the kinds of concerns that will be looked at and so on. Because the rep in Gros Islet, and I will say it, the rep in Gros Islet now seem to be concerned about some infrastructural development, and it is being said that it's because it is in his interest to, get involved in infrastructural development, as opposed to a lot of the things, because infrastructure is important, Andre, but programs are important as well. Now here you are with a Minister of Youth and Sports, our parliamentary rep. He is in charge of the national lotteries. He caused the national lottery to take a loan of $80 million. He said it is for preparation for World Cup cricket. And we never got any detailed explanation or account as to how that money was spent. But we know that on a monthly basis, the National Lottery has to pay $800,000. That is just about the takings of the National Lottery monthly. What it gets, its share from the lotteries every month is about $800,000. So in other words, all the money that the lottery makes goes to repaying the loan. So there's no money left to assist clubs, organizations, young people, or to put programs in place for these people. So Andre, really, that's myopic thinking. That's, poor planning, bad governance, at the highest level. So I'm hoping, Marcella, that this is one of the things that your government will look into. I say your government because you're definitely going to be a part of a cabinet. Like you said a while ago, it's a team. But, these are things I expect you to bring up. I've heard the political leaders speak about it as well. So it means that these matters will be addressed. I don't know how you're going to do it while still paying the loan, because that's an obligation.
It's a 15-year loan.
Yeah, 15-year loan. That's an obligation, as you know, Andre, government continues. So they will have to still pay that loan. But you'll have to find ways of raising additional revenue for the sports programs and the youth programs and so on at the community level.
That's not being concerned about our youth.
Yeah.
We are stifling the youth by not investing in them.
Well, let me try to scare you, Marcella.
By the way, it's almost 10:30.
Okay,
just letting you know, that's all.
Yeah. But I want to scare her with a question, Andre. Have you considered the size and the population of Gros Islet? This is a mammoth task to represent a constituency like Gros Islet. What is your government's plan? I know you all have begun putting plans in place and so on, and as you planning involves projecting for the future. What is your government's plan in place to address that situation in Gros Islet?
Well, as you say, it's a mammoth task, and my government, the UWP, has recognized the need that the constituency is a huge constituency, so something has to be done. when we get in office, I've heard it, our political leader has indicated the plan is to ensure that we have two town councils for the north and the south, so that all constituents can get the desired access that they need and proper representation. So that is one of the ways that we are going to do it, to ensure that every citizen is served in a very timely and efficient manner. Because we have a plan. Once you have a plan and you set goals, then that's a recipe for success.
Well, Marcella, let me say something to you. While I was on the scene, I know the St. Lucia Labour Party started talking about cutting the Gros Islet seat. And there are not many things that the St. Lucia Labour Party proposed that I support, but I supported that. Do you support the cutting of the Gros Islet seat?
I do support the cutting of the Gros Islet seat, but it has to be in a manner that's looked at in terms of the boundaries in a fair way, transparent, not in a way to ensure that it is skewed towards one side. It has to be done properly so that the people in the various communities can get the proper, fair representation that they deserve.
Okay, great. Because that's important, Andre, because, I think Gros Islet has been shortchanged to a certain extent. And I told you before, like how Estefan and myself were always in a little spat, because Dennery is about 5,000 or 6,000 voters. Gros Islet is about 26,000. 26.
That's about 3 constituencies in one.
So, Andre, when they're allocating resources, it's per constituency. Can you imagine if they say, okay, we're giving $100,000 for, say, repairs of sidewalks? I get 100,000 and Dennery gets 100,000. Dennery can repair all the sidewalks 3 times, and I don't even have enough to repair 1/3 of my sidewalk. So in terms of equity, I am not in the business of, like I used to. My argument used to be, it's not equal portions, it's equitable portions. Right. Because if you give me equal, Andre, I suspect I eat more than you do. so if they give,
I think so.
If they give you $5 and they give me $5, you'll come out of there with your belly full and I'm still hungry, So because of how much I eat, give me $10, you understand what I'm saying? So it is equitable based on the amount that I eat, that kind of thing. And that's what I was saying. I'm happy to hear you say that, because I think we, the constituents, will benefit more when that happens.
I have a good question for you.
Yeah.
26,000 people, give or take, in a constituency. How did you develop a relationship with all those constituents? Because you need to, right?
Yes.
And can you give Marcella some advice as to how to do it?
It is very tough. And you need, I don't want to say surrogates, but you need to have a team that you're going to work with. So when you speak to me, Andre, you say, well, we have that situation. I go and I check it out in Monnier or Grand Riviere, wherever. So I have someone to go to see. Because if you have to realize, maybe for that day, I get, let's say, 10 requests. I can't be 10 places, at the same time and so on.
No.
Now, the constituents have a way that, I never said anything about it before, but I can criticize it now. They tell you, boy, I didn't vote for Andre. It's you I vote for. They want to see you. That is not always.
Because people like the personal
touch. Yeah, the personal touch.
And that's important. Yeah.
So that is not always immediately possible. But of course, at some point, you have to show up, because the people, appreciate that, like Marcella said, the personal connection and so on. But you need a team of men and women around you to be able to fulfill, the obligations that you have. That's what will be done.
Do you have a team, Marcella?
But Marcella is smart, Andre. You hear what she said? She's going to have 2 councils. So that's 2 teams, Andre. You understand what I'm saying? So, in my time, I know where Marcella was at that time, to tell me, give me that trick. But in my time, we had a council in Gros Islet. But by the time they do the town of Gros Islet and so on, by the time they even begin to approach Rodney Bay, because 100 just the north of Gros Islet is Cap Estate, Casaba, Boss Issue, Bonte, Rodney Bay, Gros Islet Town, So that council cannot possibly service the entire constituency.
No.
So I think she's probably looking at that one.
People matter to me, and I want to ensure that the people are served in the best way possible. And that is a good way to ensure that the voices of the people are heard and that we can impact their lives.
When you see with local government, you have a lot more coverage and a lot more empowerment of the people.
Of the people,
so I think
yes.
that's a good plan, a good suggestion. Are you ready to, I mean, you heard from Andre, you heard from me. Are you ready to hear from our listeners and viewers out there?
I would love to hear from the viewers.
Okay, so Andre, you're going to give the number and we're going to invite callers to, I suspect Andre, they won't have questions for you and I today.
No, I don't think so.
so you can call in and ask our guests whatever question. We're not limiting you to any specific subject, but all that we ask is that you are respectful and polite to my guests, because I will not entertain or tolerate any disrespect or impolite behavior. In any case, Andre, generally speaking, our listeners are courteous and polite people.
I think so. Yes.
So, okay.
Okay. So the numbers, if you'd like to call right now, the fixed line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or the WhatsApp platform, it is 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. We have somebody on the fixed line.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. I have here a special guest in studio. I do not know if you want to make a contribution, ask a question. Please go ahead and make your contribution.
Good morning, Brother Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning, Marcella and Mr. Montoute. Okay?
I see you leave me for last today. That's all right.
Listen. Now, as you were talking about health quickly, I have often heard about health, how bad it is in St. Lucia. Now, yesterday I experienced it myself, and I was shocked. I bring somebody to the stadium that's in Beaufort. By now, you know where the stadium is? Huh?
St. Jude's?
St. Jude's.
Yes, St. Jude's, right. Well, it's the stadium, I don't think that's it anyway. So the person was complaining about bellyache, blah, 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 and could not move, and, and they gave some painkiller and a blood test. Now, I just have the figures there. One ultrasound is $225. There's a blood test, 110. I think overall, just a little short stay, just the same day. The person left there at 6 o'clock in the night. The person came in the morning, a total of $560-something. Now, they did not want to do nothing unless that money was paid. So apparently, if the person did not have that money, you would say if you're up in and die. That's what the lady said. Now that is not they say. I witnessed that yesterday. Now, I said, when that came to mind, I said, I remember the Honorable Alan Shastney was planning on a health certificate for every St. Lucian. And then that program, we know very well it was scrapped by the Labour Party. Now, had that, was in session, that person barely had to scratch to pay that money there yesterday. That person would have probably have that card and see a doctor. And I know countless other persons that want to see doctor, they cannot pay, they don't have the money to pay. And it is bad, especially what you're receiving here at the stadium. Now, it keep on loaded. I mean, you have so many people there. And sometimes I am saying how they can manage to pay to see a doctor. Now, the rules there, if you cannot pay now before your ultrasound. You just cannot see the doctor. I want to hear you guys' opinion on that. Thank you.
You want to respond to that, Marcella?
It's very, very sad that somebody has to pay such exorbitant medical fees prior to seeing a doctor. That should not be. So you mean to tell me a person will have to die if they cannot afford health care in St. Lucia? That's unconscionable. And a UWP government will ensure that every St. Lucian in this country, every St. Lucian would have access to health insurance. So that health insurance will enable you access to any hospital facility in St. Lucia or even outside of St. Lucia. So you'd have the access and affordability. So we are not a government that would stand for that kind of treatment in St. Lucia, because healthcare is a right, it's not a privilege. Every St. Lucian citizen should have access to healthcare. It shouldn't be a choice as to whether you have to die if you cannot pay for healthcare in St. Lucia.
Right. And we have another call?
Yes, you do.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Please go ahead and make your contribution.
Pleasant good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
Doing fine.
This is Johnson.
I'm doing fine,
Spider,
thank you.
Andre. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good
Anthony.
morning.
Anyway, I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And it's not an easy road when it's a politician because at the end of the day, you have everything coming at you. But first, I want to make some remarks. If you allow me to, please.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. I just find, for me, the racism remarks being made, it is not a good thing, and you get it from both parties. And this is not nice. Now, that's one. To me, the name calling, if it's a lady that you call names, it's like everybody embracing, oh, they shouldn't speak like that to the lady or call a girl, you know. But if he's a man, then they say, well, you see, he could handle it. I'll tell you why. Earlier on, Mr. Montoute was making a remark, and he said that, oh, the boy, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, boys don't come in politics. Now, if you say boy, and you are right there, and I remember earlier you said that you will not be the one, you know, involved in calling people names and calling people like insultive words. That's kudos to you. But I think you should have stopped him there and said, listen, I mean, the rep is not a boy. I mean, when you say boy, everybody knows that what you meant. Probably you meant to say man, but you said boy. But I thought she would say, listen, Spider, listen, hold on. Are you referring to the rep? No, I don't appreciate that. I think even if you don't like him or not, or you're making a remark, just call him his name or just say the man. But you say the boy, they give the boy a chance. That is not nice. Now, that's number one. Now, it's not Mistress Johnson that said it. It's you said it. You understand? So that is why sometimes we have to be very, very, very careful. And I remember earlier on you said about any cent or 2 cents come from your pocket, you crying or whatever. So if that's the case, you're in court with somebody or you're bringing you to court. Sometimes, that Andre said, just let it be. Just apologize, whatever. You say you're not. So at the end of the day, if you lose the case, that means that it have to come from your pocket. And if you win, then you have to pay your lawyer. So there's many lessons we can learn. Calling people names, El Crapo, J for jackass. These things, I mean, if you lose an election by so much of a big margin, this is why you're making a big turn of bringing 12 candidates. Bravo. But at the end of the day, let the people know what you have in place. As Marcella said, when she will become a rep or a minister, you understand what is it that you all have in place for that is what the people want to hear. Then make easy and everything. She's new to that. I don't
want to cut you short, but try to wind down because I want to respond to you.
Okay, caller. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. First of all, let me just say this. Okay, the caller is trying to equate some of the things that I say with some of the things that are said. Otherwise, they are not the same. Okay, to make a racist remark and to make degrading statements about women is very different. To me, I'm categorizing somebody. If I say, well, the boy asked for so and so on, you want to make an issue of it, and so on. Now, I have a license, especially since I'm not a politician right now, I have a license to use figurative language, you know, and, you know, for example, if I say, well, boy, Andre, you're a big shot, you know, when it comes to let's say, media and so on, compared to me and so on. Now, that's figurative language. So
in St. Lucia, refer to each other like somebody will come up to you and it's normal slang in St. Lucia. My girl, my boy, how you doing today? And that's how people in St. Lucia refer to each other.
And sometimes I will refer to Andre as a boy if I feel he's not up to the level, up to the standard, and so on. And, okay, there are nicknames that people call each other. That's not the same. That's not the same as making insultive, degrading, misogynistic, and racist remarks. That is not the same. And you see, now that's the thing about it. You never hear voices like his condemning the outright violent, crass comments that are made by those who are actually leaders in this country. You don't hear it. No condemnation comes from them. But when you respond, not even in kind, but you express your objection to it, and I do so vociferously, deliberately. You understand? They have an issue with it. Well, that is what I call hypocrisy, Andre. That is what I call hypocrisy. Because at the end of the day, and I was a politician. All kinds of assertions were made about me. All kinds of allegations were made about me. I never took anybody to court. You understand what I'm saying? Because I understand that there's a certain leeway, okay, that should be allowed in those things, even if some people went overboard, okay? The same person he's making an issue about that I call a boy, on his platform, they call me a kidnapper, okay? I didn't go to court or anything, and he's making reference about withdrawing statement because Richard Frederick, okay, has threatened to take me to court if I didn't apologize or retract my statement. And I'm saying to you, I don't make idle statements. If I make a statement, I stand by it, and I'm standing by the statements that I made. And simple as that. So don't ask me to retract unless you can give me a better reason than I have not to retract.
Okay, this is for you, Marcella. This is from a single mother.
Okay.
Okay? And she wants you to know that she receives from the NIC, it's a single mom,
Yes.
$95 a month.
$95?
Yes. I was asking her why, and she said she believes it's because of the profession that the child's father, I think, is a security officer. So she's assuming that is why it is so low.
Yeah.
$95, right?
That's just to pay transport.
That can't even pay transport
Exactly.
for a month.
Exactly. Okay, so just so you know. Okay, we have a caller.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, good morning,
Good morning.
caller. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Mr. Montoute. Good morning, Uncle Paul.
Good morning.
I'm Marcella Johnson.
Good morning.
I have a question for you, Marcella Johnson, sorry,
Yes.
and also Mr. Montoute. From the Moshi area, and I just want to know, where is Kenson Kazime? Where is he? Called. I mean,
Let me let Marcella answer first.
Caller,
I just need to know, where is he?
caller,
Because
I
if you
cannot.
try and call him, you send messages to him, he don't respond, he don't call back. And let me drop a little tip for you. I'm hearing he has domino games around the communities. Why now?
You know,
What's going on? I need to know.
Well, caller, I've
election
been
is
on the
coming.
ground for over a year now, and I could tell you, you're not the only one asking for Kenson Kazemi. Many constituents haven't seen him and are going through the same scenarios you gave there. They're going for the same issues with him. Where is Kenson Kazemi? I cannot speak for Kenson Kazemi, but I know when you elect me as your representative for Gros Islet, I will make myself available in that constituency office one day a week so that residents know where I am, can come to me. They can call me on my phone. If I can't answer at the same time, I will ensure that I return the calls. So I make that commitment to the people of the constituency.
Now, Andre, before I move on,
Wonderful.
the question was asked to me
I'm
and
another
from
Marcella.
question.
Labon,
But she
and
didn't let
I
me
don't
answer.
see him at all.
Okay. Caller, you said the question was for both of us, right? Both Marcella and
Yes.
myself. Now, let me, now with Marcella's answer, here my answer now. The district rep, Kenson Kazimi, is very busy with some projects that he is doing. Unfortunately for you, the projects are not for you, it's for himself. Okay? So you cannot see the man at this time. The man is busy doing his real estate projects. Okay? So I give you an explanation why you're not seeing him. But you'll be seeing him very soon because the time is approaching where he needs you again. So he will be coming to you.
Well, he actually has a domino game up in Labon, so I'm hoping that I seize him and ask him all the questions that I need to.
All right.
That's all I can advise
Thank you, caller.
Don't be fooled this time around if anybody making promises that they didn't keep, because you go by your past experience,
That's
track
right. You can
record.
judge. You can
And he
judge
has
by his
now given a
performance.
track record of his performance, what he will do.
You have a call.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Please go ahead and make your contribution.
Good morning, Andre.
Morning.
Morning, Mr. Spider.
Good morning.
And morning, Miss Chris.
Good morning.
A little question I want to ask there.
Go
Who is the
ahead.
Prime Minister of St. Lucia?
I don't know if it is El Guapo or if it is Philip J. Pierre. I don't know which one of them has
Well,
one of them has the title and one of them performs the role.
Well, what I'm seeing, what I'm seeing, and who is the Prime Minister is El Mati. I don't call him El Guapo. I call him El Mati.
Yeah.
Because he's always coming on his show and lying for the people in St. Lucia, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And all how I watch that man's face, I see that man looking like a beast. And anything them SLP people come and talk about on the news, anytime I hear them, I just close my radio. Because they are lying, all what they come in and do is lie. They don't talk truth. Even the Prime Minister too. All what he's coming and do is lie for the people.
Yeah. Well, we have to. We know the truth, and so we must be guided by the truth. And I am one who has made it my desire, my passion, my commitment to speak the truth and show people the light in terms of what is happening and expose the lies whenever I can. And so we are hoping that the truth, as it always does, will prevail, and that at the end of the day, they will discover that there's no merit in lying and there's no benefit in telling lies. And that is left to us, the voters, to ensure that that is the case.
You have another call.
Yes. Good morning and welcome to Meet the Opposition. Please go ahead and make a contribution, caller.
Good morning, Spider.
Good morning.
Good morning to Andre. And good morning to one of my favorite people, Marcella Johnson.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
You so far done a brilliant job this morning in letting St. Lucia know who you are and your constituents. And I'm very proud of your performance today.
Thank you.
Andre, I'd like to address this comment to you. I'm a member of the opposition, so since you're not, I'd like to address this comment to you and people who are not members of the opposition who are listening. Andre, there's a saying, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it must be a duck, right? Are you familiar with that saying?
Well, remember, that's a saying.
Yes, but you're familiar with it?
Of course.
Absolutely. Andre, let me ask you a question. You tell me whether this is a duck. I've seen some pictures circulating recently. You may have seen them. And there are also some videos. And they're of this development, hotel development at Honeymoon Beach in Canals in Beaufort. This development actually began as far back as 2019 or 2020. But Andre, I just want to do something very simple. The minister responsible for the CIP, Minister Ernest Hilaire, was reluctant to tell the public how many passports, because this hotel is being funded exclusively by passport sales, our CIP program. He refused to tell St. Lucians how many passports had been allocated. He simply said the entire allocation has been sold. St. Lucians since found a leaked document with 5,000 files. Andre, that's a minimum of 5,000 passports. Each passport is sold at $200,000. Andre, that's $1 billion US. Simple. That's right now.
Almost 3 billion easy.
Right. Under this, and for people who don't know what $1 billion is, $1 billion is $1,000 million. $1,000 million. Today, Andre, this government has been in office for almost 4 years. During their tenure, all those passports were sold. Somebody collected that $1 billion US. And that's the minimum, $1 billion US, almost 3 billion EC. Today, or yesterday, 2 days ago, our government presented its estimates of expenditure and revenue. It is 2 billion EC, Andrew, approximately. If we go to the site in Viewport, you will notice that the money is definitely not being spent there. There are 5 Chinese workers there, no St. Lucians. And the project is at a standstill, so much so the steel and the concrete are already rusting and cracking. Nothing is ongoing there, no heavy equipment, nothing. I was expecting to hear Philip J. announce that the monies for the passport sales in Viewport, the Canal Hotel, would be used to fund our budget. But I didn't hear that. Andre, how could $1 billion disappear? Yet we're hearing the minister now in Dubai talking about being inundated with the processing of passports, over 300 a week or whatever. Andre, something stinks. And the reason why I'm addressing you, Andre,
I was wondering.
You don't know me, you don't know each other, is because I think you're a man who's fair. And I don't sense outrage in persons like yourself who have a national podium to ask the questions that many St. Lucians are not empowered to ask. Because, Andre, how could $1 billion in a poor country be unaccounted for and politicians refuse to give answers? And we are sitting as if it's normal. When I returned to St. Lucia, I heard people say nitro gata, nahole tattoo. And St. Lucians laughed at that. It's our missing just kapali. Today, we are in the top 5 globally for our murder rate. And in 4 years, St. Lucia has become the most corrupt country in the OECS, with the slowest growing economy, yet we have sold the inherent billions of dollars here, billions of dollars there. Either those allegations are not true, Andre, and then you guys who are on the national media should condemn the people who are making the allegations. But in the face of the evidence that we have been presented with, I think the media is doing a disservice to the people of St. Lucia by not bringing out this information and stressing and maintaining pressure on the government for answers. And that's my contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. A very pointed
but you know, Mr. Montoute,
Yeah.
under this Westminster system, something has got to be wrong with it. Something has got to change, because I've been asking you this question. I've asked the opposition leader, how is it that you're in a House of Assembly, you have the government on the other side? How is it that you, as the opposition, cannot get answers? I mean, if you can't get answers, how am I supposed to get an answer?
No, well, not only. No, well, I think what he's saying, the government has refused to give provide answers, unfortunately, the best recourse. I'm not saying the only, but the best recourse we have is to ensure that we put that to an end for the next election. But in the meantime, Andre, we have to raise our voices against it, because it is beginning to look like it is normal. It is beginning to appear acceptable, and they are just going along their merry way, doing more and more. But if we raise our voices and we take a stand against it, they will know that there's strong objection and resistance. That at least they put them in check.
Do you feel that civil society doesn't really care?
Oh, our civil society has let us down big time. I get a sense that civil society only exists when there's a UWP government, and I will tell you that as a person who has been in government before. And when it is the St. Lucia Labour Party, it is everything goes, and they lose their voices, and so on. Is either they're in bed with them, or they are intimidated and too scared to speak.
Well, that's just what I was about to say. Yeah. Is it that they feel that if they speak out, they'll be victimized?
That's
Nobody
exactly
wants to say anything? We are in a democratic country, and it looks like everything is being censored right now. Is that as if we're in a communist country? I don't know if y'all are not feeling that way, but sometimes I feel that is how it's what's happening in St. Lucia. People are afraid to speak out.
And Andre, I don't really think I'm just saying those things, making those aspersions. When the United Workers' Party is in office. If we say we're going to take a bucket of seawater, they will tell you, the National Trust will tell you about sea level, the water level in the sea, and that will prevent the turtles from coming. All kinds of things they will come with. Quite rightly so, Andre, because they have a job to do. And they have to give the push back and play devil's advocate and so on. I respect and accept that. But how come when the Labour Party is in office, you don't even hear them? Well, look at what's happening with the halls of justice. I've not heard them. You know, we could have had a situation where the Catholic Church would end up being cracked and fall apart and so on. They have not spoken.
Well, I basically put out an invitation to our Prime Minister. I've asked him to appear on one of my shows.
Yeah.
He has agreed. So when he does come on, which I hope will be soon, I will be asking him. That's one of the questions I will be posing to him. That's for sure.
You think he would agree to meet the opposition, Andre?
Maybe.
That would be interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you have to wrap up.
That's right. So, Andre, I first of all want to thank our guest, Marcella Johnson. I think our viewers and listeners benefited quite a lot from having you here today. Those who wanted to get to know a little more about you and so on, I think you handle yourself very well. I want to take this opportunity to wish you the very best in your endeavor as you go forward. And I will personally say to you that I am looking forward to your representation as a constituent of Gros Islet. You know, Andre, I want to thank all our viewers and listeners, and I in particular want to thank our callers for being so courteous, respectful, and polite as usual. And Andre, I want to thank you as always, and I look forward to being here again next week. Join us on Meet the Opposition once again.
Thank you, Mr. Montoute, and thank you, Marcella Johnson, for your presence. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you've been listening to and watching on Facebook Meet the Opposition, heard on Rev Up St. Lucia every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So listen again next week Thursday for another Meet the Opposition. This is the end of my shift here on Rev Up St. Lucia for today, Thursday, the 27th of March. Thanks for being with me. You can join me tomorrow morning, same time, God willing, 5 o'clock for another Wake Up and Live. Now stand by for Kina. She's coming on next. She'll be with you until 3 this afternoon. From 3 o'clock, it's going to be Zen the DJ. So do enjoy the rest of your Thursday. So long.